Picture this. You've spent the past 7 to 8 years, day in, day out, learning your trade. It's essentially consumed your entire life in the hope of one day owning a dream workshop. Now, after a few years, you find your feet. You get a space. You spend thousands of pounds on tools, equipment, resources, everything you need to make this space your own. You sit back, you admire your work, and you're proud of what you've accomplished, unaware that all this materialism doesn't necessarily equate to happiness. Demotivated, de-energized, lethargic, these are feelings that should not be experienced when you're in a workshop of your dreams. Yet this is something I experienced every single day because I was lacking a basic human need. Let me explain. The last series I filmed was the garden workshop, which stripped me of all my equipment and forced me to go back to basics. Nothing about it should have been enjoyable. The wobbly workbench, the lack of powered equipment, the constant sirens ruining my filming, yet it was the most invested I've felt in a series in a long time. Now, there are many reasons why this could be, but I strongly believe a huge factor in this was simply getting more sunlight. Before the UK went into lockdown, I was constantly finding myself arriving at the workshop before sunrise and leaving after sunset, not allowing myself to leave or have a break until the day's work was done. To add salt to the wound, the workshop's dark, which isn't made better by the fact we blocked off all the windows in favour for better filming conditions, and the skylights are virtually impossible to clean. But this pattern was unhealthy, and there was a very high risk that I would find myself in this situation again if nothing changed. I had to find a way to introduce more sunlight into my routine and get some of that sweet, sweet vitamin D. You don't want to miss this series, it's going to be a good one. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the workshop. First things first. Look at this, natural light. It is blimmin' lovely in here now, but it's not quite enough. So we've been thinking long and hard about how to fix this, and apparently the solution is not cutting skylights in the asbestos roof. We need to get outside more, and the obvious solution to that is create a picnic table. But this is not any picnic bench. This is going to be a completely over-engineered picnic bench, which is going to involve lots of designing, prototyping, testing, and trial and error. And to stack the odds even further against us, I've never even created a picnic bench before. Now, first things first is we need to do a little bit of designing, but before going into any of that, I just want to say that there's going to be an awesome announcement at the end of this video, so please stick around for that. So, first things first, we need to consult Pinterest to get inspiration for this project, because like I say, I've got no idea what I'm doing. Picnic bench. Here we go. Right. Right, so I've pinned about 10 designs or so. It seems Pinterest is quite sparse on picnic benches, but I'll show you the ones that I've currently got. This is a quick overview of them, and if we go into some of them in more detail, I'm looking at more of a traditional bench design. Something like this, but the joinery itself is going to be what is over-engineered. Because over-engineered joinery is something that you guys have been pestering me about for years. Japanese joinery, wedge tenons, all that kind of thing is something that is well overdue on this channel, and yeah, we're definitely going to get stuck into that. The other designs, let's have a look at them. Now we've got ones like this, which I'm not too fond of it. I just pinned it, I guess, just to slate it, but we're not going to do something like that. There's these ones here where I quite like what's going on underneath with all these extra facets and stuff going on. I like the look of them. And then this one, a modern take as well. So maybe we could take the traditional design but then add some modern elements to it that really makes it stand out. And I know the reason I pinned this because I know people will question me about it. This is one of those converting benches that changes from a picnic table into a garden bench. It's a cool concept, but I just don't like how they look. It just looks like a really bad transformer, and so we're not going to go for that, unfortunately. So using that inspiration from Pinterest, we are going to start sketching some of these things out. And quick shout out to Idris for his beautiful sketchbooks. I've wanted one of these for a few years. He's a viewer of the channel. He bought one of my OSB posters, and it reminded me that I actually wanted one of his sketchbooks. So we are going to christen this sketchbook with the picnic bench. And when starting sketchbooks, just as a side note, I like starting on the second page because then the first page becomes a contents page, because once this gets full up, I lose things in here very easily. Whereas if you number the pages, you've got a contents page at the start, it's very nice and easy. Right, let's get sketching. Right, so we have got a final initial design that's ready to take further in the design process, but before we show you that, I want to quickly talk you through the journey that we've taken to get here. So this is the first page where I basically vomited my brain onto paper using Pinterest as inspiration. Obviously, we've gone for the Japanese architecture style joinery and flicks and stuff for this. So progressing through, obviously on these ones I was looking at the side profile. This is where we started looking at the front profile. That was pretty easy to figure out. I just wanted a couple arches on it, a couple of seat supports and stuff like that. But it was the side view that really was the challenge with this. Now we played around with kind of arcs and flicks and stuff and having thick tapers into thin tapers and then thin into thick and obviously straight there. Then we thought that looked a little bit weird, so we eventually transitioned back into using straight components with certain arcs and tapers on them. Then we went into some more straight ones. This is where I really started taking inspiration from Japanese architecture. I mean, if we look at some of these, you know, kind of like thin supports on the outside with a thick middle on them. But then I thought those looked a little bit too literal. So we started going back again. And then I drew this one, which I quite liked the look of. So just to go through it, we've got a nice center section in the middle there. Obviously it's tapered and curved on the outside. This is actually meant to be a little bit thicker at the bottom than it is at the top, where it's a little bit thin. Pegs and stuff to reinforce the joinery, and at the end of the seats we've got these little flicks up that are a ode to Japanese joinery and should also give a little bit of support to the buttocks when sat on the seat as well, which might be quite nice. So now I've got that, I'm then going to start trying to draw that on SketchUp. And I use SketchUp to refine some of the small details, so I get like the fixed design on there and then it's just working out the proportions and stuff like that. So let's get drawing on SketchUp. So as you can see, the picnic table is now in SketchUp, and this is very rough. It's not like the measurements aren't perfect, the proportions aren't perfect, the dimensions or anything like that. They're not all there, but the rough design from the paper is now in 3D form, which is what I wanted. And the nice thing about putting it in SketchUp at such an early stage in the project, or in the designing stage, should I say, is because it's very easy to adjust the proportions and the heights and stuff where needed without trying to draw it on paper and guesstimating how big or small those gaps and stuff might be. So let me show you here. So if we look at this seat to start with, you can see that the top is overhanging it quite a lot, and that's going to be very uncomfortable to sit on. You're going to be like leaning back like this while trying to eat your food, which isn't going to be ideal. So what you can do with SketchUp is simply highlight the area that you want to change, get the move tool and then drag it out, and let's say 100 mil. Boff, done. And then we'll do the other side. If I just move across there, highlight that, and then move that out 100 mil. And there we go. And like, obviously I could just move the seat out independently of the foot as well. So I could just go like that, 100, if I wanted to change the angle of this area at all, but I think that looks a little bit too extreme, so we won't bother with that. We'll just do the main one as we did before. Oh, and then same goes for the top as well. If I figure out that the seat is too close in relation to the top and your dinner is going to basically be sitting on your lap, then all you can do is just highlight the top of that, move him up, and let's say 30 mil. Sorted. So you can see how SketchUp's really good at this early stage for quick drafting of dimensions and things. And once I've pulled this thing apart and changed all the things to be in the correct location to one another, that's where I'll remeasure things on SketchUp, redraw it so those dimensions are whole dimensions, because I'm really pulling this thing apart at the moment, and I'll get everything rounded, and then I'll pull those together into something that makes a little more sense. Now, realistically, this design process is going to take a while, so it's going to be something we pick up in the next episode. But before you go, 3 years ago to this week, something incredible happened, and it was so incredible that I attribute most of the success of this channel to this one particular moment. 3 years ago to this week, the final layer of finish was applied to Bertha. Since then, this beauty has seen a ton of abuse, and she has seen me through a lot of projects and has suffered a lot of tough times. And to celebrate the occasion, we're going to be releasing the Bertha 3-year anniversary merchandise. You guys have seen me wearing it for the past few weeks, and it is finally going to be available, but only for a limited time. So if you want one, make sure you grab one as soon as you see this, because they're not going to be sticking out for long. The 3-year anniversary is only a very small window, so we want to make sure it's a special occasion. In addition to this, if you don't want a t-shirt, but you want to build a Bertha of your own, you can grab yourself a massive 40% discount on digital plans for this workbench during the month of June and July 2020. This package includes working drawings, cutting lists, construction notes, and I've even chucked in a free bonus 3D SketchUp model just because I'm nice, and this will allow you to dissect the project and see all the gubbins included within it. So grab yourself some merchandise, grab yourself some plans, and don't forget, if you liked the video, please don't forget to press the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next episode of the Picnic Bench series. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for coming along.